Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some Tacofractors. We're going to be talking about selling your personal collection to fund your house and more. Very first thing I want to do is just introduce who's here this week. We have a full cast. We have producer Lance, the best producer in the world. We have Jeff, my favorite cardboard, Tyler, Teapot, baseball card addict Chris, and Phil, Filmington. Do you guys want to give a very quick introduction of yourself? Jeff, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm glad to be here spitballing cards.
Nice. Ty?
I need some pavers. I've got some cards to sell.
Nice. Chris?
I'm Chris, baseball card addict, and I refuse to sell cards, so I haven't bought any item of new clothing in 18 months.
Nice. Perfect. How old's that jersey? Is that a Chipper Jones jersey?
It's Austin Riley, actually. Oh,
nice.
No, sorry. This is Matt Olson. Yeah, it's my wife's jersey, actually. A little snug.
Looks great on you. Phil?
My name is Philip, and I enjoy playing the piano and riding my bike.
Phil, is that true? Do you like that stuff?
No.
No? Okay, that's okay. That's okay. All right. Well, let's talk about our very first topic. Let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about the Tacofractor. Let's talk about this fractor. So Tacofractor, they were introduced this year into some sets. I think it's multiple sets, isn't it? A bunch of different sets. And what they are is a number to 5, and they have tacos. Is it number to 5, or my teapot reacted funny? Ooh, you can't do that to me, Tyler.
It's just Tacofractor. It sounds made up.
It's out of 5, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. So the Tacofractor is numbered to 5, and overall, they're very hard pull. And they don't necessarily look the best in my personal opinion, but some people love them. And when they first came out, people thought, Tacofractor? What is a Tacofractor? People thought it was dumb and gimmicky, including yours truly. But overall, they've turned and blossomed into a very respectable taco. So I want to hear everybody's thoughts. Do you like the Tacofractor in light of the news that now if you have the Tacofractor and that player, let's say Trey Turner, steals a base in the World Series, you now get $15,000 to Taco Bell. What are your thoughts on this?
There was a song when I was a kid that went something like, "When you're sliding into home and you feel a sudden." Anybody remember that song? This whole idea of Tacofractors unlocking unlimited, or maybe not quite unlimited, Taco Bell for you for stealing bases just has so many double entendres and nuances associated. Here's what I didn't like. I think they should have told people what this was from the get-go. From day one, it should have been, this is what a Tacofractor does. I don't know if they were like having negotiations with Taco Bell or what the deal was, but we saw those wild cards sell for like 11, 12K on eBay when they hit. And there was all this speculation. What does this do for you? I joked on our SCI channel when we did a video on this, I joked about maybe this gets you like Taco Tuesday with J-Rod or something. You know, you get like an experience because of what they were doing with Wembanyama. No, it just gets you a Taco Bell gift card for a whole bunch of subpar tacos. Not necessarily the type of innovation that I was personally looking for, and I'm not trying to crap all over Fanatics. I think it's interesting. But, you know, people spend a lot of money on those wild cards, and now it has to be a guy who is not in the regular Tacofractor checklist to steal the first base in order to even get that to pay off. So I don't know what happens to those cards. I love tacos. I love refractors. I do not necessarily love Tacofractors.
I have a question. Does everybody in the set have a Tacofractor, including pitchers?
Not pitchers.
Okay.
Right. I think it's all hitters.
Okay. I was wondering if pitchers had also gotten the Tacofractor. Interesting. So if they didn't, that means they had to have known about this, or known that it was an offense only plan from the beginning.
Oh, I think this was a definitive decision by Topps or Fanatics, whatever you want to call them at this point. But I kind of disagree with you, Ty, because if someone's spending $11,000 on a mystery card Tacofractor, I think they kind of deserve what they're getting, because you're purely buying that as a gamble. That is a pure gamble, and the gamble will not pay out. Actually, it might. They might get $15,000 at Taco Bell, maybe. But at the same time, I like that Topps didn't announce it in some ways, because it made it fun, right? When the MVP buyback program was released 2 years ago, that was fun because we didn't see it coming, and I liked that. And this year with a Tacofractor, we didn't see it coming, and I liked that, versus some other stuff where we're told about it and the prices on the secondary market are too expensive. Let's say you wanted a Trey Turner Tacofractor from the beginning, you got it for cheap, you wouldn't be able to afford it now because it's $1,000 for that card, so or more, right? So
how cheap were they? They were never that cheap, right?
I mean, I think they were cheaper than they are now that it's been announced.
Did they
Cheaper than what you'd pay for a lifetime supply of Taco Bell?
Did they say anything about how it's like a mystery or there's something coming? Did they say anything like that at all?
No.
Well,
That's surprising.
Albies had said something about you want to hold on to these.
Hold on to
did.
mine
Sure.
because he's a speed guy, and Braves projected to go pretty far in the playoffs.
So I'm not sure
but
if Topps
clearly
pushed
Trey
him that
Turner
way.
will be there.
That's interesting.
So in my opinion, I don't mind the slow play. Maybe Ty, as a kid, you had a problem with surprises. You needed to know your presence. You open
I
them
used
up.
to throw up on Christmas. I got so excited. So yeah, maybe that's the problem.
I don't mind the slow playing of the surprise like Scott. I think it's kind of cool. I think we have to remember at the end of the day, most of the cards, pretty much every card we own doesn't have utility outside of being a collectible.
Yeah.
So at least there's one set, so 5 total cards where they will have value. It'll be interesting to see. So we know how much the cards have sold for over the last few months. And I know there's been like market price discovery over the last few days. Now that people know what the benefit is, I don't think we've seen, well, I've seen some cards sell, like Trey Turner sold tonight for about $900. And he's an example of a guy who's in play. But what about a guy who's not in the postseason? A guy like Kyle Schwarber that doesn't steal a whole lot of bases. It'll be interesting to see what happens to those guys. And then everybody after the World Series is over, are they going to take a 50% haircut? Is it going to be an 80% haircut? These are still, at the end of the day, number to 5 cards. They might be the inaugural Tacofractors that have a little bit more value for that. They were a joke for a long period of time. They are instantly memorable because of that. For me, I almost wanted to bid for that Trey Turner, not because it was a great calculated risk for him to get the first steal in the World Series. Yeah, I mean, that could be an added benefit. But at the end of the day, like, I feel like I'd still be able to recoup close to half my money on that, even if he didn't get the first steal. And it's just like kind of cool to be a part of that chase. Now, would I take advantage of all those tacos? I'm not a huge Taco Bell guy. My wife is, but I think that's up to us. We don't need to spend the whole $15,000. I think we also get some money to pay the taxes. I think Topps is giving roughly $5,000. Cool. So that's pretty cool. Maybe I end up spending $800 based on like the fine print. If I'm able to like host taco parties and send tacos in the mail to some of my collective friends like Pepino Man, who loves tacos, then maybe I could do that too. I just think it would be cool to be like one of the guys that like wins that prize. And again, most of our cards don't have utility. So it's still a number to 5 cards. Some of these cards are still rookies. Is it ugly? Kinda. I expected it to be a little uglier. And I don't know. The novelty to me hasn't completely worn off though. Even
so another question. Do you think after the player steals the base, let's say 3 of them are out there, do you think any of those will be sold? And what sort of price point will they be sold at?
It's interesting. I think people will be looking to sell
$1,000 or something stupid. So this Corbin Carroll, out of 5, rookie of the best player this year, well, best rookie this year, sold for $1,300 before the announcement of the Tacofractor in August. So the question is, how much higher would this be with the announcement? Right? Do you think it's 3 times, 4 times, 5 times more expensive? Or at the end of the day, is someone actually paying for the rookie card of the best rookie in the class?
I'd say 3x what Trey Turner went for, since it's a rookie, in my opinion. But then again, are the D-backs really going to make it to the World Series?
Right.
So about $2,500. I mean, they're going to beat the Dodgers probably.
Well, actually, maybe not. Isn't there a PSA 10 on eBay for now? Does the grade matter for a card that's a number to 5 that is a Tacofractor? I'd say hardly, not like at all. Right? The grade shouldn't matter that much for this card, but I think there's a PSA 10 listed at 4K right now of Corbin Carroll. I could be wrong.
Here's a winner.
Yeah, that one's not going to get you the tacos.
No.
Do you have to turn the card in, or do you get to keep the card and they just, and
That's
then
a good question.
after
That's a great question.
Here's a
I
good
don't want to keep
example.
the card.
I don't know that because some of these players like the Corbin Carroll, should you turn that? Well, it's still, you could still sell your Taco Bell gift cards if you wanted for $15,000 or maybe $13,000. But this Acuna is probably your best bet on a Tacofractor. One of the best players in the league on the Deep Braves team. He's probably going to have a stolen base in the World Series. He leads off. Good chance of that card paying out of all the cards. So
yeah, better chance than most, certainly.
Yes.
So the wild card I see is the wild card for $10K.
I think we should pool our money together and get it, and just to try.
So something we haven't talked about is this: the Tacofractors came out of Cosmic, didn't they?
Like, they came out of a lot of stuff.
It came out of multiple.
No, it was just
I was
Cosmic.
going to say.
Was it just Cosmic? Was I wrong this whole time?
That's weird because like Cosmic wouldn't have had any issues selling. Well, I did 3x the print run. So
did the players come out of just regular Chrome?
It came out of Topps Chrome, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was both. I think it was both. I think it was Cosmic and regular Chrome.
One of my customers pulled it out of Cosmic, Scott. I know the checklist might say regular Chrome, but if you look at the eBay listings, probably half of them have Cosmic in the name.
Well, they might have split them into half.
Yeah, that's possible, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, this is the image variation guide. That's why I didn't find
it will show up under that, Scott. I just don't know how many of them were in that. And that should have been the product where they really did that. But
it seems like more of a Cosmic product, if such a thing exists. Before I talk about I just want to say real quick, I want to challenge.
It is in Topps Chrome, but anyways.
Yeah. If you think no cards have utility, I would direct you to my Aubrey Plaza Topps first pitch card, which has gotten a lot of, we'll call it use around my house. I don't think they're good. Read the Tacofractor. I had a few friends that messaged me. One of the things I like about the Tacofractor is I got messages from 3 people that have never purchased a card in their lives, but they desperately wanted to know what this was because they love Taco Bell. And they're like, is it possible? They actually were asking if I thought this card would get them free tacos. And I was like, I don't know. And a couple of them did buy like just a random retail box, on a whim, not really understanding how math works, thinking that there might be one in there. But one of these guys, I watched him go into Taco Bell and order $28 worth of food in one sitting. So there are people that this could really benefit and like particularly help. And I do like the fact that people were talking about this, like this, love it or hate it. Like every Facebook baseball card group I'm in, I won't tell you the number because it's embarrassing, but everyone was talking about the Tacofractor. And I feel like if people are talking about it, positive or negative, it's got to be, there's no such thing as bad publicity for a product.
It's true.
Unless they skimp on 4 packs in a box.
I was redirected on my way into work one day because Atlanta traffic sucks. And I was driving by a Taco Bell and noticed the outside signage looked just like the Tacofractor. This was before it was announced. And that was what tipped me off. I went into work and I said, this has something to do with Taco Bell. Like for sure. They had like the same neon tacos and stuff on the front of the store, the restaurant.
The tacos were actually pulled from Taco Bell on the card. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people were speculating that on Twitter way before it was announced. They were like, did Topps really steal Taco Bell's tacos? And they were kind of calling Topps cheap. But in reality, Topps had a bigger play this whole time. So
as a professional in the marketing space, I am surprised that they didn't announce this right at the beginning, like Ty said. And I know, Scott, you said you like the mysterious, but from if Fanatics, I feel like Fanatics did that wrong. Like as a marketing, if somebody in marketing does this every day, you got to announce that right at the beginning. If you want to sell boxes, like Chris said, like maybe you wait a little bit longer to bring out that set or do it in some other different set. But there's got to be some sort of like from the beginning, you got to know that this is something that I could win eventually. And it's going to let me be invested in the rest of the season and the playoffs itself. Be like, oh, like, is my player going to actually make it to the World Series?
Yeah.
There are so few of these that it would be nice if they all had some sort of utility. Like maybe you get free tacos at the game when you go to that player's stadium or something. There's so few that it would be nice that if they all had some sort of utility.
Even if it was like any postseason stolen base and it's like $100 worth of tacos. Like just anyone who's doing this.
They could give everybody $100 who pulls a Tacofractor. There's so few of them. It's going to cost them $10,000 or whatever it's going to be, however many there are. Yeah. That'd be fun. But yeah, Tacofractors, I can't wait till there's an ice cream fractor next year. Yes. And then they do not give any ice cream out. And it's not a part of the giveaway.
That would be cruel. The beer fractor with no beer.
That'd be so funny. Yeah, all right. So that's the Tacofractor. Any final thoughts? We spent 15 minutes talking about a Tacofractor. Okay, so the next thing, Phil, I want to ask you this question. I feel like you're in tune to this stuff. My Slabs. Recently, I think you've had some thoughts on My Slabs when it comes to the platform, how liquid cards are on the platform, other platforms cannibalizing each other. I want to hear what you have to think about the state of having My Slabs, PWCC, Golden, whatever else. I can't even think of more, but there's dozens of other platforms, it feels like, alts, eBay, whatever. What are your thoughts on all of that?
We've been in a bear / flat market for a number of years now. And one of the things that changes in a bear market isn't just prices going down, but it's also transaction volume slowing down. And as a result, I think a lot of the non-eBay marketplaces aren't doing so well. And I think people are looking to consolidate to get the views, to get the activity, to get that liquidity that they had hoped for. So for me personally, and this is anecdotal, but the last time I sold something on My Slabs, I just checked, was, I think it was June, and before that it was April. And I had a lot of activity in April. So things have really slowed down for me, and that's not all on My Slabs. Part of it is because I don't want to maintain my collection in multiple places and having to relist and repost. And the worst is when you sell something on one platform and 3 hours later it sells on My Slabs too. And then it's a thing where you've got to make sure that both of the buyers are happy, and you've got to figure out something. That happened to me once during like a football game. And it was a football player that went off, and I'm just like, oh geez, how am I going to handle this? I've got to give it to the guy who won it first. But anyways, with My Slabs now, I'm noticing other people also complain that they're not quite getting the same eyeballs as they used to. And a lot of the inventory out there is stale. So most prices, as we know from modern stuff, they haven't gone up. So it's a lot of stuff that's priced at 2 to 3x what it's worth now. So I think the intention of the marketplace was great when it started, being low fee. I reached out to the Matt Greeny, COO. I think he probably still is one of the founding members, I think. And I told him, like, listen, like, if you can develop this platform, I'd be open personally to paying even higher fees than what I'm currently paying as a seller or as a buyer. And then they said that they had their own plan to, they wouldn't need to do that. And the only reason why they're adding like a fee for the buyer, which I think was 1%, was to offset some other thing that they were building out. But I know they've had like aspirations to have an app, to have auctions at some point. If I was them, I'd probably back away from the auction situation, because if you've seen what's happened to Golden PWCC, it hasn't been pretty lately. A lot of people are really mad, being sold. Now this is specific to some of these other auction sites that have, the higher end illiquid items, but they're being sold promises of, oh, I think it'll go for this, and then it doesn't, and then they blame it on the platform and they bash the platform. It's happened with Golden, it's happened with PWCC. I think when people were getting into consolidation, when the market had starting to kind of flatten out, but some cards, rarer stuff was going up, Superfractors were going up, people were going to Golden, Heritage, PWCC for the listing of like one-of-ones, really illiquid cards, and it became the preference over eBay for about a year. Now, since then, the market has soured on even those rare cards, right? So I think still it might be a decent place to list like a one-of-one, a second year. I know, Scott, that's where you picked up some really rare stuff. But now it's not even the best place for that. So now I think people are looking for one marketplace where they can get some amount of liquidity in a struggling market. And that happens to be eBay at the cost of everybody else.
I agree. And I will say, whenever I see anyone list like a middle of the road or even a decent card that's not a massive card on PWCC, they're not going to get the fair market value, simply because there are so many people. It's liquidity. We talked about that. How many eyeballs you have on the card. There's probably double, triple, quadruple the number of collectors on eBay that will probably never even know about Golden or PWCC. I only know about it because I'm on social media, but if I wasn't, I would have no idea unless I found it randomly one day and then checked it weekly, because it's a weekly auction and it ends that night. I did find a Billy Butler Superfractor. There's only like 6 of them. So that's a rare find on PWCC. I got it for like 60, 70 bucks. And I had people reach out immediately and offer $200 to $300 for that card. They just didn't know it was for sale. And so that is a major problem. And I actually really like My Slabs. I think it's a fantastic website. I wish that their search was better in some ways, because it only shows the newest card. So there's a card that is priced well. It might be 8 pages from 2 years ago in the back. It's not like an algorithm like eBay where it pops up, looked at cards or what they believe you want to see. It's just the newest stuff. But that's a small complaint.
I think one thing that some of the marketplaces undervalue or underestimate is the ability for somebody looking for a card to use what are called like Boolean operators, like minus and creating commission searches. You can't actually find the card that you want. And then many of these don't offer save searches either. So if you don't have a save search and you don't have Boolean operators, it's so much more work. You need to go make your own spreadsheet to like find the card and like click a link out to their website just to find it. I like the idea of the competitive marketplace, the free market, and obviously like working in technology myself, the idea of a lower fee platform is very enticing as a seller. Even as a buyer, I'm going to get a little bit of a discount, maybe, whatever. But I also very much understand the cost of software development and of technology, both hosting fees, infrastructure, as well as, to pay software engineers and people, designers and other people to do this stuff. It's not cheap. It is actually very, very expensive. We're seeing some omni-channel listing services coming out, that are allowing users to create a listing across multiple marketplaces, building out those integrations. We're going to be introducing listings from multiple marketplaces to shop and market movers. I know several of the people like Connor from buysportscards.com, Mark from My Card Post. People are trying to take different angles at this, and I applaud it. I like it. eBay is not made for card collectors. I think they've done a lot of things to try to make it friendlier to card collectors, but there's still a lot of obstacles in their way to actually make some of those things really useful. But at the end of the day, all of us really know that the fee that we're paying for is really a marketing expense, right? It's eyeballs. Like that's the whole thing. And until another marketplace can somehow deliver on getting many eyeballs over to their, site, it's going to be a really, really tough sell to get anybody away from, the bigger listing services. And really it's kind of a couple of big auction houses for high dollar items, for high ticket items. And then, it's eBay for a lot of other stuff, or ComC if it's, vaulted buy now type stuff. So I just bought a Drummond card. I've been looking for over 3 years for his 2016 Revolution Galactic, which is sort of like a non-numbered case hit. And I had one in 2020 that I got cheap on, and I missed it by like $3 on auction. And I haven't seen another one since. It's very rare. And I just saw one pop up on eBay, and I was, I put in my bid for it. And then I realized that the same exact card, literally that card, just sold on Golden Auctions for like $7. And it was because I wasn't even looking. I would never look for that card on Golden. And I don't know why somebody would sell that card on Golden. So somebody bought it and then flipped it, and I bought it for like $27 on eBay. So yeah, it's a tough value proposition to get enough eyeballs over. And I think that's the biggest problem any of the platforms, My Slabs or otherwise, are going to face.
Yeah, I've sold 2 cards on My Slabs in the last month, and I don't know if I should actually say this, but the only reason I was able to do it is I just told a person on eBay I was negotiating with to go over to My Slabs and send me an offer there. And they did, and then so it's like they knew it was there, and I think they both told me, "Oh, I never checked that, but if the card's for sale over there." My initial hope for My Slabs, and at the beginning it seemed like it was people that were a little more like hobby focused as opposed to eBay, which is everybody. But the prices that people list stuff for on My Slabs are just utter lunacy of late.
You're allowing yourself a buffer because you're probably not going to check in to update the price in the next 3 months. So it's like, all right, if Jordan Alvarez has 4 home runs in 3 playoff games, at least I'll still be able to sell at the peak if I list it here. I think that's a lot of people's mentality, unfortunately, with a site that you're not going into a lot. And as Ty mentioned, some of those easy enhancements they're not easy, but smaller, finite enhancements. There's a list of a couple that are so important to get people to come in more often.
Yeah. Just a quick example of the Mookie Betts that's Smiling and Dugout update SP. In a PSA 10, the last couple sales on eBay are right around $800, $850-ish. There are currently, I think, 2 available on eBay, and they're both about $1,800. And there's one on My Slabs for $3,000. Not even in the same ballpark. So I put one up on My Slabs for I think at $950 or best offer, or $999 or best offer. I got 3 offers within the first hour of that card being there. And they were like 200, 225, and one person said like $165. I'm like, what? The 165 is the one that got me. Like, it's a very specific number. I'm like, what? So I had to go in and make I guess you can set like an offer basement to even get the alert from. But I mean, that guy irritated me. So
the 165 guy.
That's what you get with. That's what you get with a vetted platform, right? You're getting savvier buyers and sellers that.
I believe that was Scott that sent
it's
that
a meat on the
offer.
bone.
That sounded like a Scott or Phil offer. I mean, I wasn't sure which one.
I think that buyer sounds pretty cool. That's just my opinion. I bet he wanted to leave some negotiation because his firm price was 185, so he wanted to go $20 lower first, which makes sense.
I should have gone back and forth instead of just anyway.
Another selling platform, ComC. I'm a big fan of ComC, but it's the same situation. It's priced really high by the sellers, and every single buyer is lowballing you. The one thing ComC does really well, however, is they do cross-list to eBay. They just basically raise it the price of the eBay fees, and so you get the same amount from ComC. Another cool thing about ComC that I like, if you ever want to check it out, you just send a bulk of cards to them. They'll list them for you. You don't have to do any of that work. They do it for you automatically. You just say the number of cards in the box. And if you keep all of the money within ComC, because it's store credit, they do not send you a 1099, and they will not send you a 1099 because it's not viewed as currency. It's viewed as store credit. So very interesting platform.
God, are all cards at ComC cross-listed to eBay, or do you have to choose, or is there a minimum amount?
I'm pretty sure it's automatic. It might be like a minimum. I'm pretty sure it's automatic.
There's a minimum price.
Yeah.
I think it has to be like $1.
Yeah, but and they just, so it's a great place to list cards. Like I've sold a bunch there. Stuff's extremely liquid if you're willing to go 20% lower than eBay. Like, it's extremely liquid and you can find good deals, and it's easy to flip cards. Like, I bought a Mookie Betts Cherry Blossom that was on there for a year and a half for $5, and I listed it at 15. And because it popped up at the beginning of the search again, it sold within an hour of me listing it again. It's like there's stuff you can do on there that ComC, I think, is actually probably my second favorite, if not my favorite buying, selling platform now. So, but anyways, it's going to be interesting to how it plays out. We have a few months or years, I think, before we've reached the full bottom of the hobby. I don't think it's going to get a ton worse, but obviously we never know. But we'll see if everybody survives the next few months. So
ComC's come a long way. They had like the same company reputational strength as Beckett did in probably 2020 with their turnaround time issues.
Yeah.
But they really cleaned that up. Like, not based on my experiences, based on all my friends like pumping them now, and they're probably affiliates on YouTube, whatever. But
I can say I'm not an affiliate, but I'd recommend it just because I had a bunch of cards and binders or boxes that I couldn't sell and didn't want to list on eBay, and I didn't have to do that, which was great. And now I can just buy a bunch of my PC player on ComC for cheap. So
that's what I would say. For ComC is perfect for like cards for your PC and player collectors, but like
set collectors. If you want to do like a rainbow set of a certain color, it's perfect.
Exactly. But I would not be buying cards from ComC that you're looking to grade.
No.
Yeah,
for sure.
We learned that lesson the hard way. I got a Manny Machado with gum on it.
And they not disclose that?
No, they didn't disclose it.
Sometimes they will disclose like major damage, and you're like, that card wasn't even damaged. And then there's other times like I have a card that was way damaged. They didn't mention it. So
Jeff, was it game used gum?
Then you sent it to SGC.
I didn't do a DNA. I didn't do a PSA DNA, so hard to know.
Well, great. Well, the last thing I want to talk about on this episode with you all is something that happened to me this week. I am actually finishing my basement. It'll be completely finished by Friday. And we saved well. We got a quote from our contractor, and we actually had all the funds, but it came back like $5,000 more than we wanted, right? So I had two choices. I could either pull that from my savings, or I could pull that from somewhere else or put on a credit card, or I could liquidate some of my sports cards because I have, $5,000 of cards I don't love. I do love them, actually. They're really great cards now that I say that. But I could sell some cards right now so I don't have to do that. And that's what I did. So I ended up selling this Mookie Betts autograph. Lance, can you make my screen bigger? Thanks, producer Lance. Mookie Betts autograph. Joe Mauer Bowman Chrome autograph. Mike Trout gold rookie out of 50. Mike Trout Blue out of 150, and a Joey Votto X-Fractor. This is his true rookie. So it's a hard thing, but I thought it would be financially responsible. At the end of the day, they're cards. They're cards, right? Like, we all love cards. If you're listening 30 minutes into us six talking, it's because you love cards, or you're our wives, and we appreciate you so much. And the point behind this is, was that a mistake? I want to hear your thoughts. Would you ever do something similar? My thoughts are, I have enough cards. I didn't necessarily like, these aren't the ones that hold my attention to my collection right now. And I think I can get most of them back again at a different time. What are your thoughts?
Who's listening
They're just
to
cards.
What?
They're just cards, you know. It's just
They're just cards.
Yeah. Every time, you know, as I'm sitting here with cards all over my desk, but I have moved a lot of stuff. And over time, you acquire more things, and then you go through the process of curating and finding things that you don't care quite as much about. You can go through that exercise. It's not an unhealthy thing to do, to be like, well, here's some of the ones that I care less about, or maybe at the time you bought, you know, the Trout Blue or something. You're like, this is so sweet. But then over time you pick up something different that you like more, or you have a better card, or, you know, something different that you care more about. And so you're just going through that process. I think it's a really important lesson, actually. I've said this a lot in my Instagram content and YouTube and other things, is just, it's cardboard. Like, we all like it. It is meant to be a hobby. You know, sometimes there's a temptation to bite off more than we can chew a little bit, maybe. And it's really hard, even just when you have a card come up and you're forced to make a decision about consolidation. Just put that example on the table and say, do I really want to move these cards? And Scott, you and I have had that conversation a million times. It's like, you said something really important. I think I can get this card back later, or I know I could, whereas this one doesn't come up so often. Well, it's the same thing. You know, take care of your house, happy wife, happy life, take care of your family situation, be financially responsible. These are all like very, very important things, very important. And it is nice that at the end of the day, there is still some relative liquidity to a good number of cards, to be able to move them quickly and say, you know what, I need $5,000 and I'm going to sell off some of these, and I'll go get them. I'll save up later. I'll be financially responsible and go pick some more of these up later.
Yeah. And I want to point out, I'm not in this situation because of like irrational financial decisions. That's not the case. It was a conscious decision to, you know what, let's be even more financially responsible. So
yeah, it's good.
Like, that was my thing. Have you guys ever done anything else? Or is that just Ty and I that have done this? I've never, before this experience, never sold a card for any type of personal expense. And it was kind of eye-opening in a lot of ways.
I think if anyone was listening to the first 30 minutes of our show, they were probably not expecting a segment on financial responsibility. So it's nice that we can surprise our audience a little bit. It is hard, but I think what Ty was saying, I totally agree. I think it's an excellent like mental exercise to remind ourselves that, yes, this is just a hobby and we just collect these things. But sometimes you need something. You need money. More than we say we need baseball cards, like I need that Acuna card, but you don't really need it. But you do need to finish your basement. You know, like if your dog is sick, you know, I might sell some Jordan Alvarez cards to pay for the dog, you know, but you know, or I, you know, I'd put her down before I sell an Acuna card. But
that's why I don't have a dog. Right.
You just gotta say that, you know, she'll be fine in the woods for the next 6 months. She'll be okay. But I have not sold a card to pay for like a necessity like that. But I did make a deal that I would pay for like a 3-day vacation. I would take my wife somewhere nice with like some baseball card profits to sort of, you know, I guess as an exercise to show that she's more important than the cards. And also to say that I was actually able to make some money on cards. So it's not a completely like a worthless exercise that I'm doing here. So that was my closest example. And it was a rousing success. And I don't miss those cards at all. The trip was great.
That's great.
I've always been more of an investor than a saver. My wife's a saver. Where she grew up and based on her philosophy, you know, money is finite to me. I always think I'll be able to make more money. But I think what you're saying, Chris, is kind of what hit home for me. It's like they need to see those quick wins. Because if you're just reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting, it's like, are you even making money? It's hard for them to really see it. So just little things like that. For me, I did sell what ended up being one of my most expensive cards ever of Mike Trout. And I sold it and I used some of that money to pay for the deck. And she knew that some of the money was, you know, was being freed up from that card to go towards the deck. So could there have been other ways for me to go about it? Like, yeah, sure. Am I happy I did it? Yeah. So Mike Trout sucks now. So leave it at that.
Yeah, I should have finished my basement 2 years ago. I'd have a lot more money towards it. But I will say, Phil, my wife always says, I always say like, hey, I've only spent $5,000. Now my collection's worth X amount. And she always says it's not real money. And it's true. It's not real money. And at that time, like it's not fully liquid or whatever. But I think this did open her eyes a little bit like, oh, if we ever did need money and we have these cards, you know, he's not just hoarding cards. They actually have value. And I do think it helped her to understand that cards are a big part of my life, not just because I love them, because they do have some monetary value, which is fun. So, Jeff, you've been want to hear your thoughts.
I think just listening to what you guys are saying too, it's a good reminder that we don't often miss the cards when we exchange them for something of value like that, whether it's something to make our lives better, something for the house, a trip, an experience. And I think that's a good lesson to have.
The funny thing about cards is there's not many cards that I've sold or traded that I truly miss. Like there might be one or two that get away, but out of the hundreds, if not thousands of cards I've sold, there's not many that I think about at night. So
yeah,
because we didn't own the right cards.
I highly encourage people to not introduce their wives, spouse, significant other, close friends to the phrase like unrealized gain. Yeah. Because that will get thrown back in your face at the most inopportune times for the remainder of your relationship.
That sounded personal, Chris.
Well, you know, like Phil was saying, it's hard to hold up a piece of paper and be like, "Hey, I paid X for this, and now it's worth more." Like, I guess you have to prove it, and sometimes, you know,
yeah, they could use it against you with a divorce too.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't thinking that seriously, but you're right. They probably would.
Yeah.
But to Scott's point, and you probably went through this, Scott, borrowing against your 401k, not that any of us are registered financial advisors, unless some of you guys are, you shouldn't do that. You should sell cards first, because then you have to pay back yourself, pay interest on that, and then you don't get the appreciation of that outstanding debt, right? So don't do that. Don't borrow against your 401k.
If any of you are looking to sell cards, Cards HQ is looking to buy.
Lance, edit that out for us.
Thanks, producer Lance.
I got this one.
Whoa, what is that, Phil?
It's not a true rookie. You guys wouldn't understand.
Wow, is that a Shaq PMG?
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Ooh.
I forgot I had it here. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's just lying around.
Oh, I wish there was a time I would just forget about cards that I had. But
yeah, what's the coolest card within reach of all of you right now, without digging? I like this one. This is a Soto red ink autograph out of jersey number. Rookie
beautiful. Beautiful. So you didn't have to sell that one, Scott.
I didn't. I like that's one I'm glad, because that one would be hard to find again. But
too bad Mookie sucks, but this is the coolest one I have right here.
Mookie Betts is the best.
Listening, it's
this guy sucks too. I've got a Tom Brady BGS 10 pristine Bowman Chrome.
Oh my god!
Pop like a
Oh yeah, wasn't he an Expos draft pick?
Failed.
Yeah, he's actually gonna be in Bowman draft.
Oh, that's right.
Here's my little.
Die! Oh, no.
I just was doing a stress test of tag grading. All my Drummond 1-of-1s.
Oh, man.
I'm glad those weren't in one touches.
No, they're.
I've got one here.
But they were just 8.5s anyway.
Oh my god, that gave me anxiety. I don't like that.
Hey, what's that one, Lance?
This is a Roy Halladay. Minor league
card, yeah.
Minor league card. Got it.
How did you get that?
This is a personal family heirloom.
Awesome.
Scott, you like this one? Is this guy overrated?
Derek
Jeter. Yeah, we need to narrate this. I dropped all my cards on the floor. He has the lowest
defensive run saved in the history of Major League Baseball.
I checked his playoff stats, like an 840 career OPS.
He was Derek Jeter. He is the most evenly correctly rated player in history of Major League Baseball.
All right, well, that'll have to be a different episode. I could not. I strongly disagree with that.
Have you ever seen
closest to me? The first is my young thick Austin
great.
Riley.
Oh wow!
Update SP with the auto.
Is that out of
This
5?
This is the only sticker auto.
Oh, it looks like a sticker. It looks like a stick.
Yeah,
sticker.
and the second card, which I don't know why I had this out, but this is also a childhood treasure. Of course, the 1989 Topps, Greg Jeffries.
Greg Jeffries.
Just an amazing card.
Were they right? Was he a future star?
He was. Made the All-Star team, won a batting title. Didn't quite go to the Hall of Fame like people thought, but
Here's a random one I had next to me. This is a 1901 Harry Vardon rookie, one of the best golfers of all time.
okay.
So that's random.
There we go.
Yeah.
We went from sell your cards for funds to here's all my sweet cards. I like it.
Todd Helton, Bazooka rookie. Atomic. Anyways, all right. I think that's a good wrap and good place to end. Glad Ty's cards weren't completely damaged. Oh, Phil wants to end it with Taylor
Travis
Swift.
Kelce. Is he injured now? Oh, Jesus.
No,
What am I going to sell this one for? I just
His heart is broken, but besides that, hey, can I show one more? So I bought my 6-year-old son a blaster, a Series 1 blaster. In the first 3 packs, we got these 3 cards. I mean,
Tacofractors? Oh.
Wow. Just be glad it wasn't your daughter's box.
Oh.
So I'm just waiting for Topps and Fanatics to introduce a sort of a felon buyback program to just sort of make whole the collectors in us.
The fact we haven't heard about Wander Franco at all is not a good sign. They're waiting until after the World Series, and they're going to say he's suspended forever. It's not a good sign.
We haven't seen anything, heard anything. It's weird.
We haven't heard about who was the other player, Arias. We haven't heard about him either. And obviously he's going to be suspended because that's his second offense for domestic violence. But like the fact we haven't heard about Wander worries me a lot.
And then he hasn't said anything.
We did hear about Trevor Bauer.
That's because Trevor Bauer talked about Trevor Bauer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we have a minute, we
heard about Bauer, but nobody listened to it, so it doesn't count. He's just gone. Do you
think he might be back? Does anyone think he'll be in spring training next year with a small market team or something?
I think there's a chance.
I think so too.
I think the Dodgers are using him right now. He's technically being paid by him right now.
Yeah.
Paid him $40 million this year, I'm pretty sure, to not pitch.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if like the Pirates or someone like that, or Tampa Bay may give it a shot.
Maybe the Rockies.
Oh, Rockies. We'll take
Bauer. Rockies. That's a great matchup. Him and Chris Bryant. Goodness.
He's got the intelligence. Might be able to overcome that.
I mean, just overplayed, and he won't do good in Colorado. Was my thing.
Yeah,
I don't wish that upon Trevor Bauer to pitch there right now. All right. On that sad note, Rockies don't have a bright future, but that's all right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let us know in the comments below if there's any topics you want us to cover. We're happy to do so. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, say which one of us you like the least, and we'll talk to you later.